them royalty. Hey, 'cause once we weren't a people, now we are the people of the Lord. Yeah, yeah. In my Father's house is where I'm gonna be. I am living in the royal family. I'm a servant and a son, and the deal's already done. Yes, this is my inheritance, right here, right here, right here, right here. Let me explain. I can understand why from the outside it just doesn't make any sense. 'Cause we both know guys like me come from the other side of the fence. They tell me I'm not blood, I say you're absolutely right, I was chosen. Matter of fact, I was bought with his blood, and now I'm seated at the table. In my daddy's house is where I'm gonna be. I'm adopted in the royal family. I'm a servant and a son, and the
A blessed and pleasant good afternoon to all the listeners of Hope 103.1 FM. It is now 5 o'clock in the PM on a beautiful Monday afternoon. And every Monday afternoon at 5, we normally have the program entitled Leadership Plus with my brother, Pastor John Lewis. So today, I want to bring him on the stage. Sound like we, in a concert, but we are not. Good afternoon to you, Pastor Lewis. I hope you had
Good.
today, and welcome.
Thank you very much. It seems as though the holiday throw you off in the days
Hey,
of the
I
week.
just realized I said Monday. Yeah,
It's
that's
Wednesday.
that's why you were laughing at me, man. I wonder why you put a smile on your face, but I understand, Lord, guys. Today's
Yes,
Wednesday.
I guess the holiday in midweek.
Yeah, that holiday and meet some holiday with the children being at home. That's your mom.
Right. Of course. Yes. But we know it is Wednesday
It's
evening.
Wednesday,
Yes.
Wednesday. All right, so good to have you today. And
Thank you.
today we are talking about the law of consistency.
Yes,
This one
sir.
I think is very interesting. Most persons they are very not consistent in things. They know how to start things, but they don't know how to keep it going. So let me give you the opportunity to continue. From there. I'm here to
Yes,
learn as usual. So go right ahead.
sure. Thank you so much. And welcome to all of our viewers and listeners to Leadership Plus. So we are at a law this evening talking about the law of consistency. And the headline for this is that motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. So this is a law of growth. And we want to explore with you this evening how to grow in consistency. And so we're going to ask some questions to jump off this evening. Do you know what you need to improve? All of us are in the stage of improvement and personal growth and development. But do you know what you need to improve? And so we need to do some personal assessment, some evaluation of what we want to accomplish and where we want to end up. Uh, so we need to visualize and we need to have a clear picture of where we want to end up, the end result of where we're going and what we want to happen in our personal life and in the lives of others. Because the truth of the matter is that unless you have a very clear and distinct image of where you want to go, it's going to always look blurred and fuzzy and unclear to you. And if it is unclear to you as the leader, then it must be very fuzzy to your viewers and listeners as well. So it causes us to think, time to think, as we talked about last week, time to reflect, the law of reflection, enables us to visualize, to capitalize on our vision, what we really want to accomplish. If we cannot visualize it um, clearly, then we may need help to clarify what we really want to do with our lives and where we want to end up in the final analysis. So we need to ask our question, what do I need to improve? So get help if you need to do that, to help to clarify in your own mind what you need to do. So it starts with the determination to accomplish a particular goal in your life. And then you need to know how you are supported to improve. How are you going to find ways to improve? What skills you need to improve, what knowledge you need to improve, what experiences you need to have to improve. So that's a starting point for today. How to grow in consistency.
Wonderful. Well, these are some very pertinent questions, I would say. Um, you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you are, and so on. And if you want to be consistent, I would say consistent about what. So it's important to know the area you need to be consistent in. And to add, I would probably put, well, if you know the desired result, then you would know that persistency is what. When you spoke for a while ago, what came to mind is, think about a man going to the gym. He wants to shape his body a particular way, but he goes to the gym once per week, spend 15 minutes, and go back home. Now, I'm not sure he's going to get the result he's looking for. Even the consistency is once a week, but I think you need to go a little more often than that. I just use this analogy there because I think it's easier for us to understand. Or you may be doctor may tell you have a particular sickness that is reversible, so you need to consistently eat a particular way so you can get the result. But you do it today and then you don't continue for the rest of the week, and next week you come back and you do it one more time, you would not see any results. So it's very important that you understand the law of consistency and answer the questions that you ask, yes, that you just ask, and you would see the desired results. So I would probably add that with it. Hmm.
Great, thank you. So here's a little exercise that I want us to do together this evening.
Hmm.
It's a quiz, it's a test. It is called the Y test.
Okay. The white.
Y, WHY,
Okay. Why test?
the
Okay.
Y test. Yeah. So the first question is, do you constantly procrastinate on important tasks? Good. We've met people like that, or perhaps in our own experiences, we anticipate that this task is a little bit too difficult or challenging, and it's going to demand some sacrifice. And the natural tendency when we think we are incapable of accomplishing a task is to put it off as long as we can. And we tend to bury the idea very often. And as we say, we put it on the back burner and we shelf it, for a long time before we really want to come back to it and address a particular action that we need to put into practice immediately. So, do you constantly procrastinate on important tasks? So, the word that is significant here is important. Not every task that is equally important. So, you have to prioritize your tasks that are before you. What is your number one priority? What is number two? And number three, and so on, number 10. And how do you list your tasks in order of priorities? So we see that's how you actually start your day off. You put the items down on a list, to-do list we normally refer it to, and then we determine which has to be done, which must be done, of importance and also of urgency. So we put that down to probably a number 1 to number 10, depends on how many tasks you want to accomplish over within a day, within 2 days, or to a week, and you prioritize those things. Unless they are prioritized, we can often make the mistake of doing the uh, urgent ones, the things that become urgent rather than the very important ones, because urgent tasks are not necessarily important in that order.
Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the thing is, because if you think everything is okay, you don't want to procrastinate on things. We get that. It's a good thing not to procrastinate, but your order of priority is wrong. Then you really wasted a lot of time on things that are not important. And as you said correctly, the important word is important.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
So if you don't know why you're actually doing anything, as you said, the why test. If you don't know why it is important, and what I recognize, that is something you have to determine. Nobody cannot determine that for you. It is you to determine what is important. But
Yes,
it's important to know what is important, because if you don't know what is important, then every and any time your phone ring you something, someone call you to do something, you don't know how to say no, then you realize a lot of important things in your life is being passed by and time going, and then it's just more and more, and then you try to see how you can now make up for time loss, and you have a
mhm,
problem. So it's important to know what is important. Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
And the second question in this test: do you require coaxing to do small chores?
Do
If you
you
are a person
break it down?
that
Do you require?
require coaxing, somebody has to push you there,
Oh,
or
oh, okay.
somebody has to remind you, has to you have to get some kind of support to get something small things done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you have to answer that question as well. Do you require probing and coaxing, and people have to, as we say, be behind of you
Yeah.
in that way to always remind you that you need to do this. Uh, do you require that? And uh, sometimes we find ourselves in getting into a sort of a mold where we tend to forget important things, and we people have to call, remind, badger you sometimes. Are you in that state? And then do you perform duties just to get by? So this is a matter of excellence as well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, when we look at the task that we have before us, are you just doing the minimal work on it? So
Yeah.
it's like students who go to school and colleges, universities, whatever, and they're content to have a passing grade, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to get in and get out of here rather than investing the energy and effort it takes to be an excellent student in that example. Just in the same way of your job that you do. Do you just perform tasks in terms of haphazard work or work that is mediocre and substandard rather than stars? You bring a sense of excellence to what you do. And we've mentioned this before. When people look at the work that you do, they must have a sense that it has a mark of excellence stamped on it, and that your name is a signature on this particular task or project. So, do you perform duties just to get by? If if that's where you are today, we need to move from there. We need to grow. We
Yeah.
cannot be just watching the clock and say, it's 4 o'clock or whenever you stop working and get out of the place, because your heart is really not in it, and you
That's
just want to get by.
That's a key thing. That's a key thing. You are doing it. Most times you find people like that. I was having a conversation with someone this morning, and that description that fits the description of the person, because they were working. Well, at least the boss thought they were working, but they really was not working. And when they've been fired now, then they realized they weren't really working. So they would basically come to work because they're employed and they need the money, but they're not doing what they're doing out of love for it. They're not doing it because they genuinely want to do that particular thing. So it's like, I'm here. Yeah, I can't wait for 4 o'clock to come so I can leave and go home. And in the morning time, I've been in situation like that before, like taking up a job that I wasn't happy with and having to go there every day. In the morning, I don't want to leave home to go to that job. And when I'm on the job, I'm like, I want to get out from there as quick as possible. But you see some change need to happen. And the best advice I could give to somebody like that, don't fool yourself. It don't make sense you go in if you don't want to go, because you only doing yourself a harm. And
Absolutely.
if you're pretending and you think you're fooling somebody, you're only fooling yourself. Eventually the boss will realize you're not working and they would fire you anyways, you know? So don't fool yourself. It's best you have your peace of mind than you try to pretend that you're coming to do something, and it would, and then your work, the work would not, like as you said, if you do it right, there's a your signature will be on it. People know, hey, this is the handiwork of Sabi or John. But when you're not doing it correctly, you still have a signature on it, but it's gonna follow you wherever you go. So if you want a good signature to be good, because hey, I can recommend John to this place or that place because he normally does a good job, then that becomes like a beautiful thing for you. But when your signature then is not good, who wants to recommend you? It affects you. So the consistency, consistently doing the right thing and doing it with a good heart and knowing why you're doing it is liberating, and it could open other doors for you, and so on. Yeah. Hmm.
Great. Then another question of this test is, do you start projects and abandon them? You know, we see many projects around the nation, around the islands, and many places you've been, and it is unfinished projects. We see that in a lot of the buildings around us, um, and because there has not been determined consistent path to complete and to fulfill the result of this project and bring this to a completion. And so we see half finished, abandoned projects, all along our path. In the same way, it's a challenge that when we begin projects or tasks, that we remain consistently. Uh, One of the reasons why projects and tasks are left unfinished or undone, sometimes it goes back to the planning process, the projections, budgeting, the financing of the project, that it has not been carefully thought through. And so we come to a standstill and realize, we did not do a thorough job in preparation, uh, part of what we seek to accomplish. And do you avoid self-improvement opportunities? Now, there's so many opportunities available to all of us for our own self-improvement. And if we're not careful, we can let them pass us by. Uh, Very good workshops, seminars being offered. Some of them are offered free of cost, even some with a minimal cost. But there are no excuses for self improvement, um, learning, self improvement opportunities that we can afford today. The moment we stop learning is the moment we stop growing. This takes a part to consistency and a part to following through and a determination. It comes with a self-determination that we have perhaps practiced some of these issues that we've been talking about, procrastination, being having to be pushed to get things done, abandoning projects that we were once excited about, but it's half done. And then now it's when we are ready to jump in and take the initiative and take the task of our personal growth and personal fulfillment.
And that's it. That's the next part. It's like someone again. I like to use illustrations because I understand what you say and I find my own words to put to it. I can think about someone who starts a business but did not sit down to count the cost and consider everything that is going to be necessary to make the business successful. So they didn't plan, or they had a short 2 paragraph and thought, well, that's enough. This is exactly what I'm going to do. And when they get into the business now, realizing that it requires much more than they thought. So, I mean, you could look for help, and there are things you can do to probably see if the business is a viable one. But some people just would say, nah, but I didn't realize it had been all of that. So I will just have to jump ship, as they say. I have to leave it alone. But you just wasted energy, you wasted time, you wasted some of your resources, um, and there's no way you can get that back because time is invaluable, and once that is gone, there's no way to turn back the hands. So it's important to make sure that even before you start the project, you do the necessary groundwork before that, you know, and
Absolutely.
and then it makes a difference. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. So there's a contrast between what is considered to be goal consciousness um, as against growth consciousness.
Okay.
So we want to look at both sides of these in terms of what the focus is on. Um, Goal consciousness focuses on the destination, but growth consciousness focuses on the journey. And we always tend to we make reference to the fact that we we need to enjoy the journey as we're seeking to reach and arrive at a destination. And one of the illustrations that we use very often of Grenada and other places is that we we forget to enjoy the beauty in getting to our destination. They're looking at the sights and the sounds of the waves and the whistling of the birds and the great beauty around us, the trees and all that is provided for us. And we're rushing from our home to get to our job, and we are breaking all the traffic limits, and, and we are not really taking in what it's so lovely around us, and this could be meaningful to us. In the same way, if we are focusing on just the destination, um, we may get there or we may not get there unless we focus on how to get there as well. Focus on the journey and the experiences that you need to have to bring you to a destination. So you're in a process of growth. It's a growth consciousness that we're talking about, that um, we all grow physically, so we watch babies from birth and they grow and come into young people, young adult, and midlife and older. So there's a natural growth span there. But this growth consciousness that we're talking about is something more intentional. Is that you have determined that is in the particular area that I want to grow and I want to improve in. And so I want to put resources, I want to seek opportunities, I want to invest in this particular journey that will take me to a destination that will make me a better person and accomplish in a particular field. So it's going to take discipline, of course, but determination. And as we're talking about the overarching topic this evening is consistency. So even when we feel like we can't continue this process or we want to throw in the towel or give up or leave it behind, we will never um, reach the destination in its true sense if we constantly backtrack on following through with what is required. So there has to be a focus on the experience, on the training, on the kinds of things that enable us to complete this journey. Then goal consciousness motivates you and others. So setting goals, it's a way to motivate you and motivate others. Because if we don't know where the goal is, we don't know where to shoot the ball in a sense. If we use the illustration of soccer, if we don't know where the goalposts are, we could be kicking the ball in any direction. But if we understand these are the boundaries, this is the area of play, then you want to get that ball into goal, as it were. But when we talk about growth, it not only motivates you, but it matures you. Maturity does not necessarily come with age. And that's important to know, that maturity does not necessarily come with age. Because we all grow. It's just a natural part of life that we grow. And so we may see person, 15, 18, 20, even 30, and you realize that this person is not displaying a maturity level that he or she ought to have when you reach a particular age.
I think I think that and that does be when you have to deal with people like that, it becomes very complicated. You know, when you are mature in life, and then you have to deal with people who are still a bit immature. Sometimes some simple situations, and we could only think about how someone like that can affect an organization that they are part of in dealing with persons who are in another level with and I would say another level of mindset. You don't make issue out of little things, I would say. But then that person would then make a big issue out of something small, and you cannot see it, you know. So it's like, no, you have to tell yourself, well, here we are together. I have a goal in mind, and I understand the journey. These things would happen, so I'm growing. So we need to know how to fix things quick and move on. But then during that process, they have somebody who, and if you're that person, was it? Because you become somewhat a hindrance to the others. And
Yes,
we could be focusing on the goal, now we have to focus on how what you are dealing with as a result of maybe just something simple that come up that don't need no set a long discussion. We can just deal with it and just move on. I think that it puts a pressure on the organization sometimes if that's the case, or the person leading or spearheading the organization. You know.
yes. Maturity level really is a discipline, that you have disciplined yourself um, to abide by the expectations that you have committed yourself to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in the process, you're not only maturing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but you're maturing others as well.
Right.
Yes, but you're maturing by what you teach and what you model for others as well, and that's because of your chosen growth awareness. Goal consciousness tend to be seasonal.
Mm.
You may have goals set up for you when, let's say, for example, you have set a goal, and when I am 20, I want to accomplish this particular goal.
Right.
When I'm 30, when I'm 40, and when you want to retire. So those are seasonal goals. But growth consciousness is lifelong.
Lifelong, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, a lifelong process that um, it's looking at the end
Yeah.
of your life, as it were,
Life.
and
Yeah.
bring it into focus.
Mm-hmm.
So depends on how long that a person may live, 70, 80, 90, probably 100 years. But their growth is not limited to a 10, 15, or 20-year
Yeah, that's true.
seasonal growth. What it tells us also is that we can always have a growth spurt at different ages of our life.
Okay.
Um, it happens in organizations as well.
Yeah.
You will see organizations start with a great spike. There's a great curve
Mm-hmm.
of growth, and they tend to plateau.
Okay.
And then, if they do not have another growth spurt that takes them further higher,
Mm-hmm.
it tends to level off and then it start to decline.
Decline. Okay.
So, to maintain a lifelong growth spurt means that every season or
Mm-hmm.
stage of our life, there has to be another level of growth
Yeah.
so that it takes us on to a different sphere
Yeah.
and season of life.
I can imagine how people write more than one books
Mhm.
because you're on this journey, you are observing everything along the way, so you're penning your life along the way so you don't miss the details. And the details that most people would miss, there are some very important lessons. So sometimes it's just a simple little lesson, maybe just a little principle there. You take that and you can build on it. So it helps with the whole growth, with the growth, because you're not missing the important things or even the simple things. Your eyes wide open and you're looking along for at every little detail along the way. So maybe you may write the first book at 35, but then when you know, as you said, you plateau there, so you have so much information that you gather, you're like, listen, I need to get this out of me, and then you pen it, but you still didn't finish yet. A new season come along and a shift happen, and there you have more to keep penning. So you write another book. Sometimes it could be a 5 year interval. If your goal was just to write a book, then after you write that book, you say, okay, I have no book to write again. So you stop, you know. So you want to move on and keep going. And I believe
Yes.
that there is always, like, every year of a person's life, there is something new, something happening. You know, it's better if you're not letting it happen, or even if when it's happening, you are aware of it happening, because if you don't have no direction, no sense of direction, and then if you're not, and things don't just happen because you need to be consistently doing something. Remember, you are the one waking up in the morning, making the choices to do whatever you do consistently. So, for example, if you want to become a banker, you don't just become a banker like that. But after you become a banker, you might say to yourself, well, I want to be a bank manager. Then you might say, well, I want to own a bank. Then I want to own banks, and then I want to have branches all over the world. And you might branch out into something else as you continue to grow. You would see new opportunities and so on. But if the goal is just to become a banker and you stop there, okay, you were consistently working at becoming a banker, and then your life sister, yes, that's it. As you said, you just reached this place, and where else do you go? What I
Yes.
need for you?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And if we do not have a second, third, fourth growth spurt,
Hmm.
then we tend to plateau and then we see the decline
Yeah.
in a person's life.
And
So,
if you're thinking about
yes.
it, before you go, if you're thinking about it financially too, um, normally what happens is that your money would take you so far in your life, and if you don't come up with new ideas, life will continue to go on. Things around you would continue to get more expensive, and your money would not allow you to afford anything new. you would just have what you had all the time. You accomplish that particular goal, and that's it. You just have that's all you have, and you cannot get nothing else because why you didn't think about um, growing in the process. You just think about accomplishing the goal and staying right there. So my friend
Yes.
sent a message here. She said this consistency requires discipline. Hmm.
Yes, that's the truth. Yes. So goal consciousness challenges you, but growth consciousness changes you.
Okay.
So while a goal may challenge you
Yeah.
to get it accomplished and get it done, a growth consciousness changes you
Right.
from who you were last year, 6 months, 3 months ago, to who you are today,
Right.
and the process continues. So
Hmm.
you're always in the process of change in terms of who you are as a person, in terms of your intellectual growth, in terms of your understanding of what you want to accomplish. You have a focused goal, but you have a growth consciousness that um, it changes you from where you were yesterday to
Hmm.
where you can be tomorrow. So it does that. Stops when the goal is reached, goal consciousness, but keeps growing beyond the goal. So you may have, and you made that illustration about having accomplished a particular goal, and we want to stay there
Hmm.
because we are satisfied that we've accomplished a particular goal.
That's it.
But we keep going beyond short-term goals and aim more for the lifelong goals.
Lifelong goals. Yeah.
Learns only from mistakes, but we learn before making mistakes and growth consciousness. The goal consciousness depends on good luck, um, and growth consciousness relies on hard work.
Hard work.
Uh, we cannot wish to be successful. We cannot wish to grow.
It don't just happen like that at all. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's it.
yes, you have to put in the work.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right. And you have to be
sometimes yes,
consistently putting in the work.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's very often we would um, look and evaluate um, men and women organizations that are doing well,
Hmm.
um, and we may see the exterior, growth as it were,
Right.
but may not truly realize how much time and effort
They had to
and
put in.
resources
Hmm.
they are putting in to
Hmm.
make this a reality. One illustration is that, we drive up to a gas station and we just ask to pour gas into the vehicle. And sometimes we don't understand how does this work really?
Yeah.
How does the gas get into these huge tanks on the ground? How does it work? And we switch on the vehicle and it says, you're putting so much gas and you speed up.
Hmm.
Uh, but even backtracking that, how the gas is made,
Okay.
how does it really get to, in our context, Grenada?
That's right. Yeah.
Yes, how is it transported to the gas station? And how does it involve all the people that makes it happen from production to having it servicing
Hmm.
into your vehicle? It's a long process.
Process.
And,
That's right.
and sometimes it has its own hazard as well.
Hmm.
Of course, when you're driving behind one of these gas trucks, the tankers, of course, they would say stay 100 feet behind because there's a possibility of a hazard.
That's right.
Yes, and very often um, there are hazards in what we are attempting to do. And so we take the precautions as well.
Uh-huh.
We take all the guidelines, we take all the, because we can learn from other people as well.
Hmm.
And, they have done this well, they have done this. And so to have a conversation with people who seemingly have done well in a particular area of work or of their lives, and you can learn from them as well.
So
So
even
that's yes,
so even being you don't want to be consistently doing the wrong thing. So while applying the law of consistency, you want to make sure you're doing the right thing consistently, and you're actually getting the result that you desire, and that will eventually bring you to the success that you also desire. Because success means different things to different people, but at the end of the day, there are some common things that we will deem success. For example, you don't go study to fail your exam and then say you were successful. So everyone who is studying knows very well they want to pass. And once you pass, then as we say, it means different things to different people. So as you said, earlier, somebody might be happy for the just the base pass, while someone might be studying a little bit more hard, but both of them are studying consistently. But at the end of the day, it depends on how hard, how much work you put into it, how smart you work at it, and accomplishing your desired result. So we should all aim to get the highest mark and not just a basic pass. And most times, the people who get the highest mark is the people that do the right thing consistently with knowledge, ask the questions, do the background research, and so on to make sure they're on the right course. Unlike those who just say, okay, well, yeah, I'm doing it. You could be consistently doing the wrong thing. You would not get good result. So that is
yes,
another important thing we should think about. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. So how do we overcome um, this inconsistency that
Okay.
tend to plague us, overcoming growing pains? Um, so the recommendations then, align your methods of motivation with your personality. Find one of the excellent methods for personality profiling. Um, so every person has a specific personality type. You may have a dominant type, um, but you may have a secondary type of personality. And there are a lot of personality tests that you can check out. There's a lot, of course, in other materials and other places that you can locate if you have not discovered yet your personality style. Um, and then align your methods of motivation with your personality. So we'll find, in terms of the personality profiling, they would suggest to us that there are basically four kinds or types of personalities. Um, and they would describe them differently uh, in terms of your type of personality. Um, and so it's an exercise that you can um, find and do, or have someone else do it with you to verify that this may be your particular dominant
Hmm.
personality trait in your life.
But
When you align,
let me stop
sorry,
you a minute, very quick. I I listened to you very well a while ago, and one question came to mind, and that is for the purpose of the listeners. I can think about somebody who is there's a particular sickness in their body. Now they find out about the sickness, and what they do is they eat in such a way that it doesn't aid to the sickness, it doesn't make it worse. So why then should someone know their personality type, and how would it help them? So okay, I find out my personality type. So now I know it. How would that help me in my life? That's a question I wanted to ask you.
okay, wonderful. Okay, so when when you merge your strengths uh, with your particular growth path that you want to accomplish, it provides such an excellent outcome in a person's life. So let's just touch a little bit. We cannot explore all the types, but let's use the basic ones that probably the older versions as well. Say the choleric person. That seems to suggest that this is the dominant type of person is a leader. Um, Sometimes it's a very brash, bossy kind of person,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but they can get things done. On the other side of that is what they call the phlegmatic, very laid back, but they're very detailed person. So their strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
And then the melancholy, um, they are great organizers. Um, they can put plans into place and execute. And sometimes they allow discouragement to get into them. And there is the sanguine. This is the life of the party person. They're excitable, um, and they can bring life to a situation, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, they're having so much fun that you cannot get a lot of things done through them. But we need all four types of persons because they're very good motivational people.
For each other.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
they can excite a crowd. They can do great.
Yeah,
They're great talkers. Yes, innovators. Yes.
I heard it. I heard the term split personality. Do you think one person can possess two of that or three of that personality?
Right. Well, the concept of a split personality is something totally different, which is in the field of psychology and not in that particular field. So, but we'll talk about the dominant. The,
Okay.
every person has a dominant type of personality, but you also would have a secondary trait of personality. So, for example, a person may have a dominant choleric, but they may also have a secondary phlegmatic as well. So it helps to balance out people.
All right.
So once you, when we combine um, what you want to develop and become consistent with your personality, it adds strength to your life. It gives you focus for your life, and so it's important to discover that. And as I said, there are great testings out there that you can explore. Um, One illustration that is used here, consistency is a muscle to be exercised. So it is it's likened to a muscle in your body, and exercise it and do it daily. Um, so of course we are all encouraged and challenged to do daily types of exercises for natural growth. But this is much more than a natural exercise. Uh, this is stretching us emotionally, it's stretching us mentally, academically, organizationally, causing us to be more productive and accomplished in that sense. Um, but it has to be exercised. And the emphasis is to do it daily. We're told that if we want to develop good habits, it takes about 100 days for it to remain with us. Um, so it cannot be something that you set out to do today and by next week it's too hard, and we kind of drop the ball.
And the thing with
I
that,
know.
sometimes, and what I heard you said is change. A lot of people don't like change, and some people only make change when they are forced to change. But even in the process of changing from one thing to the other, it could be very difficult because you're moving from what you're used to sometimes what you don't, that maybe you don't deem that thing pleasurable. Sometimes the change is good, and you're moving from a place where things were probably good but bad, so to speak. Feels good but is bad, and you need to leave it alone and make a shift to a new place. So that shift could be very painful because you're stripping off some things that are feeling good but is not good. and then your whole being now sometimes is craving the bad things because you are used to it. So now you have to move to that place of newness, and it could be very hard. But the truth is, as you said, if you could do it for 100 days, you'd realize. I mean, I heard less,
Okay.
I heard
Okay.
less, but you say 100 days. I heard people say 21 days to create a new habit. Um,
Okay.
and then thereafter, a couple of days after, you can keep the new habit. So if you could do it
Mhm.
for 3 weeks straight, then you're well on your way. You ever tried stop eating bread for 21 days? When you try to stop eating bread for 21 days, on about the first week pass by, you would say, wow, you need that bread. And the worst thing is if you're seeing the bread. Now I'm just using bread as an analogy
Yes,
because
an
people
example.
eat bread.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the thing. But after that 2 or 3 weeks pass, your mind, your brain, everything just adjusts. And sometimes when you taste the bread, you realize you don't like bread. You ask yourself, what have I been eating? You know? But if you eat it for 2 more days, somehow you go right back to where you were.
Into the old habits.
So consistency
Exactly.
again is very important in
Right. And
everything we do. Hmm.
mhm, absolutely. Um, one of the challenges that we face is that we can come to a conclusion about our lives that, I have been inconsistent, you know, in so many ways. How can I get out of this role? How could I make the change? How can I um, start over, as it were? And like we would recommend, that it's never too late to have a fresh start and a new paradigm for your life. Because sometimes, as we talk to folks, they will say, it's too late for me to change, but that's not true. It's never too late to change a bad habit, bad practices, or procrastination. We can always move from that stage to a better place,
Hmm.
a place of growth. But it has to be that there's a sense of determination, um, hard work, the ability to visualize and to conceptualize and to take it one step at a time. Um, so, like we said, sometimes these practices will take you 3 weeks or longer until a habit is formed.
Yeah.
And the additional aspect to this is that you can get help alongside of you in coaching,
Hmm.
helping someone as a coach come alongside of you
Yeah.
and to help you get on a particular track that you um, probably skidded off from before, but you want to get back there. And that's one of the services that we say that we provide as well,
Hmm.
through Leadership Plus. And so if something that you have heard today or been listening to, you can connect with us through um, Hope FM as well. They can give you our
Contact.
details. But
Yeah.
it's so important that we um, keep moving in the right direction in our personal growth, overcoming the tendency to delay and to put off and postpone. Because all that does is that we look back at our life 10, 15 years after, and realize we could have been at a better place in our lives.
That's right.
And so it is not to live a life of remorse or regret, as it were, but to say from today, if we have not started that journey, from today we can move to that better place in terms of becoming the kind of person that we can become and what we were supposed to become, what we were meant to be. Or just to add from the Christian perspective as well, it is never too late to start a new life with God.
That's right.
And that's our challenge to all of our viewers and listeners, that wherever you are, if you have not started this walk with God and this life of knowing who God is and how we can come to faith to Jesus Christ, that's the best gift that has been given to mankind. So you can invite Jesus Christ into your heart, and He can turn things around. He has done it for many of us, and He can do the same for you today.
That's right. So it's never too late to start and to continue. We want to add that. Not
Yeah,
just to start, but to continue, because it makes no sense you starting something good and tomorrow you go back to zero. I mean, you're really wasting time. So you don't want to be wasting what you don't have. Time is a precious gift. God has given it to us. We have to use it wisely and make sure that we are signing our signature and good things. When people look back, they see by your fruit, they would know who you are. As I said, if you're not bearing good fruits, then people would say, well, nah, based on such and such, I can conclude you're not somebody I can work with, you're not somebody I can trust, but when you are doing your best and as you said, that sometimes you make mistake along the way, but that's just the part of growing. So as you continue to grow, yeah, there may be things that you may say or do 3 years ago, but the point is you don't want to be repeating anything or as you're not growing. So you want to be able to move from that place and grow upward. You may be able to people would see that you're growing and they would ask you, well, what happened? How are you doing these things? And you would say, well, in order to consistently do these things, these are the things that I had to do. This is what I had to observe. This is the thing I had to say no to. And it will be a beautiful story because life sometimes comes from dirt. And that's sometimes that's it. Life comes from dirt. So it doesn't matter where you are today, it may just be the soil for a new seed to sprout out of. Yeah. And that dirty condition or situation may be just where the life for your life is. But if you decide to just not plant the seed and stay in the dirt, then where would the new life come from? Yeah.
yeah.
So
That's so important, as we wrap up our time together this evening. There's some decisions that we all have to make in terms of where we want to grow, how we want to grow.
hmm
And there might be people in our lives that we need to disassociate ourselves from
that's right.
because they are not good for our good. Um, they stand in the way, they are hindrances, they set up roadblocks for you.
hmm
And to find the kind of people with the right mindset that provides motivation for you, that gives you direction, that supports you, and enables you to grow into the healthy person that you want to be and
That's
to come to a place of fulfillment in your personal life as well.
hmm Well, let me say thank you. It's now a minute to 6, and thank you for giving some very pertinent information today. I've learned. I always learn when I listen to you. And guys, I want to encourage our listeners, if you are, if something we said today sounds like you, but you don't know how to get out of that place, you can contact my brother, Reverend John Lewis, Pastor Lewis, John Lewis. You say call him John Lewis, right? Where can they contact you? Besides, well, you could contact us at Hope. Yeah, if you're
Yes,
listening here,
of
you could contact us at
course.
Hope, and we will send you the information so you could know further, have some more conversation with Pastor Lewis, and he will be able to help you move from, with God's help, of course, and the guidance of the Holy Spirit, to move from point A to B. All right. We all have something inside of us that God has given unto us. Reality is a lot of times sometimes we need somebody to help us to get it out. We may know what it is, but we don't know how to get it out. So you never know. God may have you listening to this program this evening for a reason. Pray about it, and if you feel deep in your heart that it's time to make a move and maybe 2 or 3 sessions you want to book with Pastor Lewis, he's available and he can do that with you. All right. So thank you again, Pastor John, and we will stay in touch. It was my
Yes.
pleasure being here today with you on Leadership Plus.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a great evening.
Okay, great. All right, so there you had it, guys, and we will continue next week. We just talked about the law of consistency. I say good afternoon to you, Aliyah. I see you, and everyone else who are listening currently. Good afternoon to you. The law of consistency, very, very important. Up next at 7, we have a recap of the Hope Drive with myself and Carrie Ann. Yeah, so we have a recap. So if you did not see, you didn't look at the Hope Drive in the past 2 weeks, I believe that recap will be, it has some good information there for you. So you should try to watch it this afternoon. Jump in. If you're listening, you cannot send in responses because it's just a recap. So I'll just be streaming a program because Kerry can't make it today, and I don't want to go ahead with what we had planned without her. All right, so God bless you. Keep it locked. The Hope 103.1 FM at 7. The Hope Drive will be on. Keep it locked.
Hope 103.1 presents Spreading Hope, a fundraising event.